You mentioned it was lawless. Can you define what GamerGate was?
No, I don't think anyone can. Like, and honestly, I feel like Gamergate was something completely different from for everybody that has been in any way involved in it. As in, people say it's a movement, but it's a movement that is not moving all in the same direction because it wasn't. It's an hashtag, but there's a lot of people that were not even on Twitter doing it. It was very amorphous. There's a lot of people that say that they are in Gamergate, but they never participated in any of the operations. Uh, there were people that participated in the operations and then never discussed it, never got into a discussion about Gamergate with anyone. They just sent the emails and stayed silent for the rest. It was a mess, but it was what anyone wanted to make it out of. Like it's and it started for different people. It started in a different way for a different reason. Like a lot of people say Gamergate started with Five Guys, and I don't give a fuck of Five Guys
Me
even
either.
today. Like, like the thing that is absurd to me is that even if someone wanted to believe the whole Five Guys story, which was absurd, because you cannot take a story about someone sleeping with five people from the ex of that girl. Like, it's not exactly the most objective person to ask the story for. But even if that was true, that's not her fault. If there is a journalist that is compromising what he's writing because he's sleeping with someone, it's about that journalist. It's not about the girl. The girl is not like has nothing she's compromising her integrity on. She's just making video games.
Yeah, I
But
agree. And oh god, Scarlet.
no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
This is perhaps worth exploring because I agree with you, and I never cared about the whole Zoe Quinn thing except for like the part with Nathan Grayson. I never read the Zoe post or anything. Recently, like in the past couple of weeks, like past like few days, or well, like I guess like week and a half. Um, I've been sort of confronted with this because I've talked with someone recently. I even interviewed her, Cece. Do you remember
Mhm.
Silverwolfcc?
Not really, but to be honest, again, it's almost been a decade. Like it's been a while, and I definitely moved on a lot of things. So no, I don't really. I don't think I interacted directly with her a lot. So
Okay. She interviewing her and talking with her off air. She has a very like unique perspective of this because like she knows the guy who wrote that blog post,
hmm
and she sent me some stuff like some articles and stuff like this. And it's like, well, this isn't really Gamergate related stuff, but it might be. Maybe I was too harsh to dismiss this because it seems like from what little I've read so far looking into this, it does look like the guy who made the blog post, should he have made the blog post about his ex-girlfriend? Probably not.
yeah,
But at the same time, like I'm confronted with this evidence that like maybe he also did get kind of fucked over kind of bad too. Like in the sense not just the infidelity, like people get cheated on a lot, that sucks, I get it.
sure,
Um, but in regards to his own personal reputation having been smeared, and
yeah. But let's talk about it. Two people have a bad breakup and one of the two gets fucked over on social media, like how new it is. How many cases there are of that? Why is it relevant on anything that has to do with video games? Like, I can even believe him. I can believe on everything that he wrote. Why is it relevant? Why
I
is it
agree.
a video game issue? Because it's not. It's really not. It's whatever happens between two people or five for that matter in the bedroom is their fucking business.
Yeah, I agree with you, Scarlett. I'm very sex positive and very
Yeah,
left wing too. But it's just and obviously it's not GamerGate related. But
yeah.
the thing that I'm sort of like struggling with a little bit personally is that I'm a sort of like I'm a journalist. I think of this project as an act of journalism. And
Okay,
so if this topic comes up, like in the past, anytime it's come up, I've been like, oh, I don't care about that, right? That's all I'd say, and that'd be like the end of it. Um, but now it's like, am I doing justice to Zoe Quinn? Am I doing justice to Eron Gjoni? By being so dismissive of them in this written work and in this broadcasted stream? Am I doing justice by them as individuals, as people, as a journalist? And I don't. And am I dismissing their story completely out of hand?
sure. Here's my opinion, and here's the main problem that was with Gamergate. There's a lot of people that some people predates it, some people joined after that saw the drama and they just wanted to make it into their own thing. There's a bunch of people like people say, "Oh, Gamergate is misogynist, Gamergate is far right, and stuff like that." And it's not because everybody was different and nobody had a reaction, but it's absolutely true that there's a lot of people that were anti-feminist or that were extreme right wings that try to attach themselves to it and try to push people to the side and make it into a breeding ground, which I don't know how effective it was. I'm pretty sure that everybody that started Gamergate and was right wing is still right wing, and people that were at the very least like a little bit conscious about the political alignment and they were left wing, they stay left wing because if you changed your ideals because of Gamergate, those ideals were not really that solid, you know? Like there was nothing to flip your political allegiance in there. But yeah, like a lot of people were pushing for stuff like that because they were making the arguments, oh yeah, she's a whore. Like, who cares? She's she's a woman that can do whatever she wants. That's it. You're just mad on behalf of a guy that you don't know about a relationship you don't know because you do hate women. Like that's you rant too much about what is happening on fuck, I don't even remember now. On Tumblr about feminists that are too promiscuous and like that has nothing to do with video games or journalism. Like there's a lot of people that were talking about a lot of shit that didn't had any space in the conversation, but they made it the conversation because that's what they were about. So I will stay away from that. Not even because you're making justice for one person or the other, but because they're not relevant to the discussion. They're just people polluting the water and doing that from the beginning.
Okay. Well, hey, Scarlett, I do appreciate your feedback on that. I do.
Right? That's my opinion.
Now, I think we've talked about this before. Um, and for you, GamerGate was just about games journalism, right?
Well, yeah, yeah. To be honest, it was. There was again. It's all about video games in any way. There was definitely something about the culture and how uh people perceived certain things, but it was always about video games though specifically. And yeah, no, I think that the rest was honestly kind of a distraction.
I agree. GamerGate was about video games, a thousand
And
percent.
And you know, I was branded as an ethic only cuck. And I wore that as a badge because yeah, that's why I'm here. but I absolutely admit a lot of people were not there for that. Like when people were um, mocking GamerGate, saying is actually about game ethics in game journalism, uh, it bothered me a little bit because it was for me, but I know that it wasn't for a lot of people. And
I
also, I was a game developer. I don't know why a lot of people that were nowhere near the industry were so passionate about something that was not touching them in any possible way.
Yeah, for me personally, Gamergate was about ethics like you, but it was also about creative freedom. I viewed those as the two prongs of Gamergate, the two
Yeah.
parts of the conversation. Now, I did also talk about culture war issues, but I distinguished that very not always clearly, but sometimes clearly. I distinguished that as being separate from Gamergate. I'm like, hey, look, I
Okay.
also have some political opinions. That's not a Gamergate
Sure.
thing. That's a separate
Sure.
thing. That's
And
that's how
that's
I saw it.
allowed.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about creative freedom, and I mean, I kind of already talked about it, but the thing is that it's a discussion that was worth having because it was a big topic for everybody involved. But again, I never felt like that was in actual danger. I always felt like people that want to make games in a certain way were able to make games in the way that they wanted to make them. I remember that the big ones that were criticized at the time was The Witcher. Its cast is not diverse enough. And what did they do? Nothing. They continue to make The Witcher. They continue to make the way that they wanted. It continued to sell million of copies. Like that was not that was not a danger at any point. It was a discussion worth having. Like people that want to discuss the topic of whether or not games should be more inclusive, whether or not a game should be criticized if it's not. It's a discussion worth having as long as we admit that our influence in what happens in the industry is absolutely zero, because it is. I remember people wanted to ban hatred from Steam.
Yeah.
I remember a lot of people trying to steer the video game industry to cater to what they cared about. And it didn't. Or at least not in the way they wanted, as in right now we still have people complaining about both sides. We have people complaining that some games are not diverse enough. We have people complaining about some games that are too diverse and is forced diversity. And the truth is that everybody creates whatever the fuck they want, and that these rants are honestly, they've become so ubiquitous that they're just noise at this point. And you also see the opposite complaints on the same game. Like there are games that are branded both not diverse enough and too diverse and forced diversity, which is paradoxical. But the gaming industry is not there to completely cater to only you. There's something like 2 billions of video gamers in the world from different culture with different ideas, and there's so many games that come out every day. If you want something that does things the way you want, you find them. If you want the entire industry to only do what you want, you're never going to have it.
And I think that's beautiful. I think it's beautiful that
Oh, absolutely.
gaming is big enough for all types of people. For game people who like Gone Home and people who like Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball and people who like Grand Theft Auto and Hatred.
Yeah, absolutely.